DISOVERED. How a new maid transformed a billionaire's son from failing to ace every math test. Billy McAllister floated through the sprawling halls of his family's mansion like a ghost, a wisp of a boy lost in a world where success screamed loudest. Surrounded by marble floors and glittering chandeliers, he felt suffocated under the weight of his father's high expectations. Success was a trophy case filled with achievements, and Billy was the only one without a prize. Every math test loomed over him like a mountain he couldn't climb, each number a barrier keeping him from the approval he desperately craved. He was an island of anxiety amid riches, drowning in isolation. Then came Maria, the new maid. She stepped into his life like a fresh breeze, filling the stale air of grandeur with warmth and determination. Coming from a family of veterans, Maria embodied resilience. Her cheerful smile and genuine presence drew Billy in, even when he felt his family's affluence made her a stranger. She didn't see him as a billionaire's son. She saw a kid struggling just like she had, fighting for acceptance in an overwhelming world. After her long shifts, she offered to help him with math. "We all deserve a chance," she told him one evening, determination shining in her eyes. They transformed his garage into a makeshift classroom, filled with faded posters and mismatched furniture. Something beautiful blossomed between them. Laughter echoed between the cracks of textbooks and pencils, moments of camaraderie easing the burden pressed upon Billy's shoulders. He'd never felt this awake. Details that once blurred became vivid under Maria's patient guidance. Her kindness thawed the ice of class divides. With each formula they tackled, Billy felt the mountain crumble beneath him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as their bond deepened, a storm brewed from the shadows. Billy's father remained blissfully ignorant of his son's struggles, seeing Maria as merely the help, the backdrop to his grand life. The looming annual math competition was on the horizon, an opportunity for Billy to finally shine. But rumors began to swirl. Whispers of his secret weapon came to life, making him question if he could embrace it when his father would surely disapprove. The moment of reckoning arrived when confrontation crackled in the air. Billy faced his father, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. "Maria isn't just the maid," he said, clenching his fists, fighting to choose dignity over privilege. "She helps me." The gap between them widened, the silent tension an entire chasm. In that moment, Billy realized it was time to define success on his own terms, not just trophies but friendship, acceptance, and resilience. As he stood on the brink, uncertainty swirled around him. Would he risk his father's wrath for a friendship that shattered societal expectations? The competition approached, but so did the daunting choice that weighed heavy in his heart. Would he finally embrace who he really was and the truth of his struggles, or slip back into the suffocating shadows of his family's wealth? The answer hung like a delicate thread, poised to alter the course of both their lives forever. The day of the competition arrived, sparkling and bright, the world bustling outside, while Billy's stomach twisted in knots. He stood in front of the mirror, his tuxedo crisp and polished, but all he saw was the doubt etched on his face. It didn't matter how many hours Maria had spent helping him. The memories of him struggling through problems haunted him. Would it all slip away? What if he embarrassed himself in front of everyone, especially his father? "Billy?" Maria's voice drifted in from the doorway, breaking his spiral of anxiety. She was dressed in a simple blouse and skirt, an aura of calm enveloping her as she stepped into the room. "You look amazing." Her eyes sparkled with sincerity, yet he could see the worry lurking behind them too. "I don't think I can do this," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course, you can." She stepped closer, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "Remember what we've worked on. Just focus on the problems, not the audience." "But what if they ask me something I can't answer?" The thought of failure made his heart race even faster. She smiled, reassuring him. "Then just take a deep breath. You've learned so much. You've got this." Her confidence seemed to seep into him, but the gnawing pressure of his father's disapproval still lurked in his mind. Will you be there? He needed the comfort of her presence, like a lifebuoy on a stormy sea. Front row and cheering for you, she declared, a challenge twinkling in her eyes. He took a deep breath, finding a sliver of hope in her words. Together, they took a final glance in the mirror, the reflection showing a boy determined to do more than make his father proud. He wanted to prove to himself that he mattered. As the auditorium doors opened, a wave of noise swept over him, students buzzing with excitement and nerves. He walked inside, his heart pounding louder than the crowd. The stage loomed ahead, and with it, the reminder of his father's stern face that could shift from pride to disappointment in an instant. The competition began, and one by one, his classmates answered questions. Some excelled, others struggled, but each seemed so confident, so at ease. Billy took his seat, swallowing his fear like a bitter pill. As he waited for his turn, he felt a nudge beside him. Maria gave him a thumbs up, her smile radiating encouragement even from afar. When his name was called, time slowed. He walked to the front, facing the panel of judges and the sea of expectant faces. The problem presented flashed before him. Everything he had practiced surged back into his mind. He began to write, fingers moving with purpose, equations flowing like water. Every question he faced seemed less daunting than he'd imagined. The tension in the room shifted as he explained his thought process, his confidence growing with each solved problem. Then came that crucial moment. He could hear the whispers behind him. What would they think if he answered wrong? Panic threatened to swallow him whole. But he thought of Maria's faith in him, how she had seen beyond the labels and the expectations. He made a decision then. He faced the crowd and took a deep breath. Using his own words, he turned the energy of that moment into something powerful. Math isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding and thinking critically. The audience fell silent, captivated. Billy realized in that moment that he was more than his last name. He was Billy McAllister, a boy with a passion for learning. As he finished, the applause erupted. Maria clapped louder than anyone, her cheer echoing through the room. But as he looked for his father's approval, that fear struck him again. He held his breath, waiting for that moment to capture something more than just a trophy. Would his father understand? The answer remained uncertain, and that question lingered in the air, crackling with tension. But one thing was clear: this was only the beginning. Would he step fully into his newfound voice, or retreat into shadows once again? The next chapter awaited, with challenges only hinted at on the horizon. As the applause faded, Billy's heart raced, not from the thrill of victory, but from an impending anxiety that settled in. He scanned the audience for his father, desperately hoping to catch a glimpse of pride. Instead, all he found was a stern expression that sent a ripple of doubt through him. Was he truly enough? Did he do well, or was it just a fluke? Billy, Maria's voice broke through, vibrant and filled with excitement. She rushed to him, her eyes sparkling with pride. You were incredible. I told you, didn't I? His lips curled into a hesitant smile. You think so? He felt like he was still floating on the adrenaline of the moment, but fear lingered, nagging at the edges of his happiness. Absolutely. You spoke with confidence. Maria beamed, the warmth of her enthusiasm wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. Billy turned to face the audience again, the cheers of support still ringing in his ears. But when his gaze landed on his father, the man's lack of expression felt like a weighted blanket crushing his newfound joy. He couldn't shake the feeling that no amount of applause would be enough. Come on, let us celebrate, Maria urged, pulling him outside into the daylight, the crowd still buzzing behind them. As they stepped into the warmth, the bright sun felt almost foreign to him. The world around them was alive with laughter and joy, but inside, he grappled with shadows of doubt. Hey, look, Maria pointed to a group of students gathered by the food trucks. They're celebrating. Let us join them. I don't know. Billy hesitated, feeling the tug of unease. Billy, the competition is over. You did amazing. Celebrate with your friends. It's what you worked for. She smiled, and he couldn't help but be pulled in by her unwavering positivity. Reluctantly, he followed her. They navigated through the crowd, and as they reached the group, he couldn't help but feel an infectious sense of camaraderie. Laughter floated around him, and slowly, The tension in his chest began to loosen. They shared stories and pizza, and Billy found himself laughing, bantering with classmates. For a moment, he felt as if the weight of the world had lifted. But then, in a lull, he caught sight of his father standing alone near the edge of the crowd. The man's expression was still unreadable, and the laughter faded instantaneously from Billy's heart. "Hey, everything okay?" Maria nudged him gently, her brow furrowed with concern. Billy nodded, not trusting his voice. I want him to be proud." "I know, but you did your best today. That's what matters." She reassured him that a group nearby cheered as their names were announced for trophies. He clapped along, but his thoughts were elsewhere. What if he never sees me for who I really am? The uncertainty gnawed at him. He wanted his father to accept him, not just see him as Billy McAllister, the son of a successful businessman, but as Billy, the boy finding his way through math, through passion, through life. "Let us go talk to him," Maria suggested lightly. She took his hand before he could protest. As they began walking towards his father, excitement and anxiety twisted together in Billy's stomach. What if he just stood there, unyielding? Could he handle whatever response was waiting? With each step, Billy felt a surge of emotion, the moment of truth drawing near. Would he step forward and claim his right to be proud of who he was, regardless of his father's opinion? He finally stopped in front of his father, Maria's presence like a steadying anchor beside him. The world around him buzzed, but all he could hear was the pounding of his heart. "Dad," he started, his voice wavering. His father's gaze fell on him, searching. Billy held his breath, preparing to lay it all bare, to express everything that had remained unsaid for so long. Would this be the moment everything changed, or would he again feel like he was not enough? Everything hung in the balance, and the next moment would define the course of his future. Would he finally discover a place of acceptance, or would he falter in the shadows once more? "Billy." His father's voice was deep, filled with an emotion that seemed to be trapped behind an impenetrable wall. Billy couldn't tell if the look in his eyes was disappointment or something else entirely. "Dad, I worked really hard today," Billy said, the words tumbling out as he fought to maintain eye contact. He was suddenly painfully aware of the audience around them, the laughter fading and the atmosphere shifting, hanging on this moment. His father nodded slowly, still watching him, as if he were trying to peel back layers of his son's exterior. That intensity was daunting. It felt like being under a spotlight, where every imperfection was magnified. Maria squeezed Billy's hand, her quiet encouragement giving him strength. He took a shaky breath. "I wanted to make you proud. I wanted to show you that I can stand out, that I can do things." The corners of his father's mouth twitched, but that emotion remained elusive. "You did well, Billy. You delivered a strong performance," he finally said, the words almost mechanical. Was that approval? Or just the bare minimum he could give? Billy felt a flicker of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by self-doubt. "But, Dad, I want you to see me as me, not just as whatever you expect." The words hung there, raw and vulnerable. His father's brows knitted together. "What do you mean exactly?" Billy's pulse quickened, the moment of truth surging through him like electricity. "I mean, it feels like no matter how well I do, it's never really enough. I just want to be me, without all the expectations. I want to show you who I am." The silence stretched as his father absorbed the weight of those words. Around them, other students still celebrated, but Billy felt frozen, standing on the precipice of change, waiting for his father to leap into understanding. "I see." His father finally broke the silence, his voice softer now. "You think I don't see you? That I'm just this tough guy who doesn't care?" It was more than Billy had bargained for. "I don't know. Sometimes, it feels like you care more about my achievements than who I am as a person." His father's jaw tensed, and a flicker of understanding passed through his eyes. "I push you because I believe in you, son. I want to see you succeed." Billy swallowed hard, desperate for clarity, for connection. "But success means more than just winning, Dad. It's about being true to myself." For a moment, they simply stood there, two hearts caught in a silent struggle. His father's expression softened, revealing the cracks behind the stern facade. "And what if I've lost sight of that?" The air felt electric, charged with possibilities. Billy's heart danced, a spark ignited. They were at the edge of a conversation that could change everything. "Maybe we can start over?" Billy's voice broke slightly, laced with hope. His father nodded slowly, a weary smile breaking through. Now that sounds like a plan, Billy. But before relief could fully settle in Billy's heart, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, pulling him out of the moment. A group of kids had just been awarded trophies, their shiny figures raised high like trophies of success. As applause echoed around them, another surge of anxiety threatened to wash over Billy. What if this moment is fleeting? He thought, the prevailing fear still gripping him. Hey, Maria whispered, nudging him gently with her shoulder. You've already started something incredible here. As they shared a smile, a voice cutting through the noise caught his attention. The announcer called out for the last awards to be given. And now, the special trophy for the competition goes to Billy McAllister. Suddenly, the world spun, heart pounding again, this time in disbelief and surprise. Did he hear that right? Billy's pulse raced as he processed what was happening, a whirlwind of emotion swirling. As he walked towards the stage, his father's proud eyes finally met his. And in that moment, everything shifted. With the trophy glinting in his hand, he realized this wasn't just about awards. It was about more than just success. It was his opportunity to bridge the gap. But as the crowd roared and the pressure mounted, would this moment lead to acceptance or more confusion? The future loomed ahead, uncertain yet ripe with potential, right there in that moment. Was this truly the breakthrough he'd hoped for, or just another step on a winding road? Billy stood on stage, the trophy in his hands feeling heavier than ever. The applause was deafening, yet inside him, a storm raged. All these eyes were on him, admiring, expecting. He held a symbol of achievement, but in his heart, he wrestled with uncertainty. His father's eyes were bright, pride spilling forth, but the pressure to live up to that expectation was suffocating. He felt like he was balancing on a tightrope. Each step forward might mean tipping over into the abyss of disappointment. Billy, 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 the crowd chanted, and he managed a shaky smile, hoping it looked sincere. But deep inside, he was still that boy fighting for recognition, battling the constant cloud of what his father wanted him to be. Maria beamed at him from the front row, her eyes sparkling with joy. You did it, Billy. You really did, she shouted, clapping enthusiastically. He could feel the warm glow of friendship radiating from her, pulling him closer to what real success felt like. As he stepped down from the stage, the cheers blurred into a distant hum. Congratulations, champ, his father remarked, wrapping an arm around him as they exited the crowd. But even this embrace felt complicated to Billy. Was it just for the trophy? Thanks, Dad, Billy replied, forcing earnestness into his voice. But I want to talk about everything. You know, this is about more than the trophy. His father's smile faltered. Sure, but first, let us celebrate, okay? The eagerness in his dad's tone nudged at Billy, pulling him back into a world of accolades and cheers, but he wasn't ready for that. No, Dad. Seriously, Billy pressed, pulling away just a little. I need you to understand. This isn't just about being the best at something. I need you to see me. His father paused, eyes narrowing slightly, processing the weight of his son's request. What do you want me to see exactly? Billy took a deep breath, feeling the vulnerability wash over him again. I want to show you who I really am, who I want to be. Not just the kid who wins trophies or gets straight A's. I want to show you my passions. I don't want to just be your success story. The moment hung in the air, thick with unspoken tension. Billy watched as the gears turned in his father's mind. Slowly, he nodded, a tinge of understanding in his gaze. All right, son. I'm listening. Let us talk. But just as relief washed over him, the announcer's voice boomed again, drawing the crowd's attention. And now we have one last announcement. The room quieted, anticipation crackling. Billy's stomach nodded. What now? The announcer continued. We will be forming teams for the regional championship in a few weeks. And who better to lead them than Billy himself? Shock raced through Billy, followed by an uncomfortable wave of excitement. Wait, what? Cheers erupted around him again, but he felt a swell of pressure. Was this what he wanted? The challenge sounded thrilling, but was this success or another path paved with expectations? He turned to his father, searching for something in his eyes, support or pressure. His father clapped him on the back, pride gleaming. See, this is your moment. Grab it. But the words that followed felt heavier than the applause. You need to prepare. This is big, big. The word echoed in his mind. It wasn't just about the trophy anymore. It was now about leading others. Sparks of excitement mixed with a whirlwind of fear in his chest. Was he ready for this? Would he be enough? As the crowd celebrated and cheers enveloped him, Billy took a moment to breathe it all in. The applause felt like a tidal wave ready to pull him under. And in that moment of swirling emotions, he wondered not just what was next, but if he could truly step into the role of who he wanted to be without losing sight of himself again. What would it mean for him and for his father? With gratitude and fear intertwined, Billy looked out over the sea of faces, wondering if this would finally be the moment that defined him. But one question loomed large. Would he rise to the occasion or be consumed by it? Billy's heart raced as cheers erupted around him, but beneath the surface, he felt a different kind of noise, a clamor of anxiety and doubt. Leading a team? It sounded exhilarating, yet terrifying. The weight of expectation pressed down on him, and he stepped back, looking for a quiet corner to collect his thoughts. Maria's voice broke through the noise. "Hey, Billy, wait up." She weaved through the crowd, her smile wide and supportive. He turned to face her, and the excitement in her eyes brought a flicker of warmth to his soul. "Can you believe this?" she asked, bouncing slightly on the balls of her feet. "You're the captain. This is huge." "I know," he replied, running a hand through his hair. "But it's not just about that, Maria. I have to, lead a whole team. What if I mess it up?" Maria stepped closer, earnestness softening her eyes. "You want to mess it up. You care, and that's what matters. You'll figure it out. You always do." He wanted to believe her. Her confidence felt like a lifeline, but doubt still wormed its way into his thoughts. What if he dropped the ball? Would the cheers turn into whispers? Would his father's pride fade? "Just remember, you're not alone in this," Maria added, sensing his unease. "We're all rooting for you." Billy nodded, appreciating her faith in him, but it barely brushed against his swirling fears. "Thanks, Maria. He paused, searching for the right words. "I want to be more than just a trophy holder. I want to lead for the right reasons, not just to fulfill someone else's dreams." Understanding lit up Maria's face. "Then do it your way. This is your chance to show everyone, not just your dad, who you are." Somehow, hearing Maria say that felt like a lifeline. Maybe he could redefine what success looked like, not just for himself, but for everyone he'd lead. "All right, I think I can do this," he murmured, summoning a flicker of determination. As another round of cheers roared from the crowd, Billy turned to face them again. Hope flashed in his chest, adjusting his posture, preparing to embrace the challenge ahead. "Now let us go celebrate," Maria exclaimed, pulling him toward the group as the announcer called for the after-party to begin. The vibrant atmosphere enveloped him. Colorful balloons bobbed in the air, music thumping rhythmically, laughter spilling over like a fountain. As they joined the thrumming crowd, Billy felt a sense of belonging, if only for a fleeting moment. He shared slight glances and jubilant smiles with friends, and little by little, his nervousness began to fade. But then, just as the heaviness lifted, a figure appeared in the crowd. His father stood just outside the throng, watching with an intensity that made Billy's stomach churn. The pride on his father's face mixed with an unsettling weight in his eyes, like he was analyzing every smile and laugh coming from his son. Billy's heart sank. He wanted to bask in the glory of this moment, to surrender to joy, but his father's gaze tethered him, reminded him of expectations unspoken. "What if he only sees me as a winner?" Billy whispered to Maria, distraction and fear creeping back. "What if he doesn't understand me?" "Then show him," Maria said firmly, squeezing his arm. "Show him who you really are through this." Her words hung in the air, a challenge wrapped in encouragement. In that moment, Billy knew he had a choice, not just about leading a team, but about defining himself. As they gathered around, hopping to the beat and sipping punch, Billy breathed in the moment. Could he truly embrace who he was while still meeting the demands of everyone else? With that thought spinning in his mind, he felt the gravity of the moment settle just as quickly as the music wrapped around them. What if he could break the chains of expectation? What if, in leading others, he truly found himself? The night rolled on, filled with energy, laughter, and echoes of future promises. But as the shadows began to lengthen, one question lingered in Billy's mind. Would he dare to step away from the shadow of his father, or would he keep chasing after a dream that was his own? The energy of the party washed over Billy like a rushing wave, but all the joy around him felt distant. Laughter erupted nearby as friends tossed colorful confetti into the air, and the music pulsed, but his thoughts drifted back to his father's gaze. He could still feel the weight of it pressing against his chest, constricting. "Let us dance," Maria sang, pulling him toward the makeshift dance floor. He stumbled for a moment, caught in his spirals of reasoning, but then she spun him into the rhythm, forcing him into the collective joy. The bass dropped, and people jumped with excitement, their bright smiles contagious as his feet moved to the beat. He felt a flicker of the spark that Maria saw in him. He let loose a bit, lifting his arms and swaying to the infectious energy. But each beat echoed the growing uncertainty in his heart. "See, you're a natural," Maria grinned, twirling beside him. Her pure joy reminded him of something important. This wasn't just about leading. It was about being part of something bigger than himself, about the energy and passion of his team. But his moment of happiness shattered when he caught another glimpse of his father, unyielding in the corner, arms crossed rigidly over his chest. He wasn't dancing. He wasn't laughing. And that intense scrutiny felt like a spotlight aimed directly at him, unyielding and uninvited. "Billy, you okay?" Maria asked, her voice breaking through his haze. "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, trying to plaster a smile on his face, but it felt forced. "Don't let him ruin this," Maria urged, her voice steady. "You deserve to enjoy tonight. Focus on the team. Focus on us." "Right," he nodded, trying to shake off the heaviness. As the song changed to a slower tune, couples began to twirl together. The crowd swayed gently, and in that moment, wanting to follow her advice, he turned his attention to the energy of the group dancing, the harmony of voices blending into one joyful chorus. He noticed how each person carried their own stories and backgrounds, yet tonight, they transformed into a tapestry of unity. Billy took a deep breath and scanned the room, looking to everyone else. They were here to celebrate him as captain, sure, but also to embrace one another, no matter the history or expectations they each bore. In that loud, joyful corner of the gym, he began to realize something profound. Being a leader didn't mean carrying the weight of the world alone. It meant sharing it with those around him. Suddenly compelled, he stepped back from the crowd, glanced towards his father, and moved away from his heavy presence. On the edge of the dance floor, he spotted a group of teammates laughing and cheering one another on as they attempted some ridiculous dance moves. They weren't perfect, but they were free, and for the first time tonight, he wanted that freedom. "Let us do this," he shouted, raising his arms high like a flag of courage. He charged towards his friends, who greeted him with surprising enthusiasm as he dove into the swirling mass of laughter and music. "See, that's Billy," someone shouted as he nearly tripped over their feet, laughter mingling with clumsy steps. He felt embraced by acceptance as he danced wildly alongside them, shedding his doubts with every move. The music enveloped him, wrapping around him like a hug. The cheers brewed louder, and the camaraderie grew. But in that whirlwind of celebration, a voice cracked through the moment, thick with disappointment. "Billy." It was his father, cutting through the crowd. Frustration stamped on his face. Billy's heart dropped. The jubilation twisted in his gut as he froze mid-step. The cheers around him faded, that heavy gaze anchoring him in uncertainty once again. "Not now," he murmured, feeling the warmth of the dance floor dissipate just as quickly as it had ignited. Would he stand here, caught between the joy of his team and the burden of his father's expectations? Could he find a way to be true to himself and still be the leader everyone hoped for? Just as he considered it all, the music swelled around him, asking a question. Would he choose to dance to the rhythm of his own heart, no matter the cost? The moment Billy froze felt like an eternity. Music blared, but it fell on deaf ears. His father's eyes bore into him like arrows aimed at his heart. In that split second, all the laughter, freedom, and camaraderie they had just shared slipped away, leaving only a chilling silence filled with disappointment. "Billy." His father's voice cut through again. It was sharper now, edged with anger. "What do you think you're doing?" The words wrapped around Billy like chains, pulling him back to a weight he thought he had just shed. He looked around, the faces of his friends morphing from joy to concern as they sensed the shift in the atmosphere. Maria stepped back, hesitating, unsure whether to intervene. "Dad, he started, but the sound of the crowd and the music faded into background noise. The world narrowed until he was trapped in this moment, caught between the celebration and his father's harsh reality. "This is how you choose to celebrate becoming captain?" There was disdain in his father's voice. "By making a fool of yourself? You're supposed to set an example." Billy felt his heart race, not from excitement, but from anger and hurt. "I'm not making a fool of myself. I'm enjoying time with my team." The words were charged with a determination he hadn't realized he held. "Team?" His father scoffed, shaking his head. "Have you even thought about your future? Your grades? You think this will get you anywhere?" With every word, Billy felt the familiar sting of failure settle in. It was like reliving those moments of falling short in front of his father, who just couldn't see beyond his own expectations. The joy he felt moments ago began to fizzle out, replaced with the familiar doubt he battled silently. "I need to take it seriously, Billy. You know that." The insistence in his father's voice rang bitter. "You're throwing away your chance at a real future." And there it was, the unyielding expectation that a good grade was more valuable than fun and friendship. Billy clenched his fists, feeling the tension rise inside him, waging a war between his father's ambition and his desire to just be a kid for one night. "Maybe I want more than grades." The words burst out before he could stop them. "Maybe I want to be a good captain, a friend, someone who can have fun." The fear and frustration tinctured his voice with a new strength. His father paused, disbelief washing over him like a wave. The crowd had hushed. All eyes were now on Billy, their energy still pulsing, but with a current of tension that felt electric. "What is so wrong with that?" he continued, courage now flowing from somewhere deep within. "Why can't I want both? Why can't I be a leader and have fun?" Billy felt the heat rising, but instead of burning him, it felt like a light igniting something he thought had been snuffed out. The cheers began to resurface as his teammates rallied behind him, sensing the shift. "Yeah, Billy," someone shouted. "You tell him." The moment of realization swept through him. He didn't just want to dance. He wanted to reclaim his own narrative. His father's expression darkened, but just as quickly turned thoughtful. The weight of the confrontation felt enormous, like a mountain peak looming over him. Could this be the moment that changed everything? Billy took a deep breath, grounding himself. He wasn't just standing against his father. He was standing for himself. As the music swelled and the rhythm pulsed anew, he let go of the tension, ready to embrace whatever might come next. Would he continue to dance, or would this confrontation pull him into deeper darkness? The question hung in the air, unanswered. The tension crackled like static in the air, and for a moment, it felt as though time had paused around them. Billy's heart pounded wildly, fueled by a mix of defiance and fear. He could see the doubt flickering in his father's eyes, battling against a certainty that was usually so unshakable. "Billy," his father's voice softened slightly, but the edge was still there. "You don't understand how important this is." "Then help me understand," Billy shouted, surprising even himself. He pushed through the crowd, his team anxiously watching, all breathing in the drama unfolding before them. "Help me understand why I can't enjoy this moment and still be serious about my future." His father shifted, the jagged lines of his face etching deeper with frustration. "Because life isn't just about moments, Billy. It's about building a foundation." "Foundation?" Billy could hardly contain the bitterness in his voice. "You think being unhappy is going to build anything? A leader has to inspire, not just drill." He gestured to his friends, voices raising again in agreement, murmurs of support rippling through the small crowd that had gathered around them. A flicker of concern passed across his father's face. Perhaps the truth was taking root, creeping in through the cracks of their confrontation. "I'm trying to help you succeed," his father replied, yet there was a hint of uncertainty now, the steel-like confidence wavering. Billy felt a rush of emotion, a deep yearning. "But I'm your son, Dad, not a project. Can't you see I want to learn, but I don't want to lose myself in the process?" The air felt thick, charged with everything unsaid between them, the weight of expectations, dreams, and frustrations. It hung there until it began to crack. "Maybe I just want to be alive." The words slipped out, raw and vulnerable. Billy's heart pounded as silence enveloped the space around them. He searched his father's eyes for a glimmer of understanding. There it was, just visible a small crack in the armor his father always wore. Can't we find a balance? Billy pressed on, his voice softer. What if I show you that I can be both? A captain, a friend, and someone who cares about grades? Billy, his father's voice shook, uncertainty creeping into his words. I just don't want you to end up regretting any decisions. You have to think about your future. Trust me, Dad. Let me show you what I can do when I don't feel suffocated. As he spoke, a small spark of hope ignited within him. The crowd behind him was still waiting. Just then the music changed, a slower, softer tune filling the air. For a brief moment, the confrontation seemed to fade in the background. The rhythm of life pulse and throb again. Billy could feel his heart race. Maybe this was not just about him and his father. Maybe it was about finding a way to dance through the struggles of life, together. His father glanced around at the concerned faces of Billy's friends. Their excitement mingled with worry. The shift in his father was subtle but visible. Perhaps, just perhaps, he was willing to listen. Then, Billy took a step forward, the music beckoning him to dance. He lifted his hands, inviting his family into the rhythm, a silent plea for acceptance. Would his father follow, or would he remain on the sidelines, wrapped in his own hesitations? Billy's breath quickened, anticipation surging. What would his father choose, risk the dance, or remain steadfast in what he had always known? The night hung in the balance, every heartbeat a promise of change. Just then, the music swelled again, and Billy caught his father's gaze. The question lingered: would they take the first step into a new future together, or was Billy destined to continue on a path that left him feeling lost? Billy stood at the edge of the dance floor, his heart racing like a wild drum. The buzz of the party faded as he searched his father's eyes. Would this be the moment of understanding? The moment everything changed? Billy, his father began, his voice heavy. I'm trying to keep you from pain. You have to focus. But I can't live in a box. Billy shot back, feeling the heat of emotion bubbling right beneath the surface. I want to have fun as I figure things out. Why can't you see that? The words hung in the air, raw and charged. Around them, the quiet crowd awaited the conclusion of a showdown that felt monumental. The lines on his father's face deepened, uncertainty rapidly weaving through his facade of firmness. You really think this dancing, this thing you're doing, is going to prepare you for life? Leadership comes with responsibility, his father argued, but there was a tremor of doubt that hadn't been there before. Yeah, and that responsibility also means inspiring people and making connections. Billy replied, clenching his fists at his sides, battling to stay grounded. I want to lead, but I can't just be a puppet on strings. You didn't just hand me success, you pushed me to be more, yet you're stifling what that looks like. The tension in the air shifted. Others began to murmur, some nodding in agreement, feeling the weight of their shared struggles echoing through Billy's words. Maybe I can be both a leader and a kid enjoying life. Billy took a deep breath, letting vulnerability flood the space between them. I want to show you who I am, not just who you want me to be. That what being a father is about. Silence hung over them, thick with unexpressed truths. He saw his father's chest swell and fall as he processed the layers of Billy's vulnerability. A sign of potential growth flickered in his father's eyes, but just as quickly, it was overshadowed by the weight of expectations that had long defined their relationship. Maybe, his father whispered, searching for the right words. Maybe I've been too focused on what I thought was right. The crowd seemed to breathe in the moment. Billy felt a sliver of hope bloom within him. Could they really be on the brink of something new? Something healing? Life is a series of moments, Dad. Billy pressed on, his voice wavering but strong. Let me show you what I can achieve when I feel supported, when I can make mistakes without worrying about disappointing you. His father softened, the rigid tension in his body easing. With slow determination, he nodded. All right, Billy, show me. In that instant, something broke. Walls between them began to crumble, and in their place, a fragile bridge formed. The tension faded as the music shifted again, the inviting beat enticing for another dance. Let us do this together, Billy said, feeling light spill into his heart. With his father standing beside him amidst their friends, he extended his hand, an invitation for them to step into this new understanding together. With a hesitant smile, his father accepted, taking Billy's hand as they stepped toward the dance floor. The crowd erupted into cheers, their joy mixing with a sense of relief that the barrier between them had softened. Billy felt an exhilarating rush, alive with hope. They danced together, the praise of the crowd swelling around them, replacing anxiety with a shared rhythm of acceptance. As they moved, Billy finally realized that success was not just measured in scores or accolades, but also in the moments of connection and trust forged from vulnerability. "See, fun isn't so bad," his father said, laughter breaking the tension, his facade finally crumbling. "I knew you had it in you," Billy beamed, feeling the burden of expectation lift in that moment. Surrounded by friends and family, Billy knew this was only the beginning, a new chapter not just for him, but for them as a family. With laughter cascading around them, and the beat of the music pulsing with every heartbeat, they began to carve out their own paths. Paths filled with growth, understanding, and shared moments, a tapestry woven from love and authenticity. As the night rolled on and the party drew to a close, Billy could see the horizon ahead glowing with possibility. Hand in hand with his father, he stepped forward into the light, embracing all that lay ahead. This was at the moment of transformation. But don't just sit back. You need to subscribe now to catch every incredible moment, every exclusive story that can inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It makes a real difference. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this amazing ending, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Don't wait, not even one more second. Be part of this journey.